Welcome friends. Now we are moving into the 13th session of this course on manufacturing strategy. Now in the process of formulation of manufacturing strategy, in our last few sessions we discussed that the first important step is to understand your market, and at that point of time we also made a very clear distinction between market and marketing. Market is something where we understand who is your customer, what are the requirements of the customer, what type of products customer is looking for, while marketing is a functional area. So, we need to be more market oriented, and from the point of view of operations strategy, manufacturing strategy, when I am saying that we need to be market oriented, we also discussed the importance of concept of order winners and qualifiers. In this particular session, we are going to discuss that what is this concept of order winners and qualifiers. Now, when we are discussing this concept of order winner and qualifier, I have made only two simple characteristics to give you a broad overview that how the market is changing regularly. Now, if you see in the past, market was characterized by two particular kind of characteristics. One is homogeneity, or you can say similarity. Most of the customers, they require almost similar kind of products. So, it is homogeneity. Organizations can produce things in mass. Mass production was the order, but nowadays markets are moving toward differentiations. Lot of heterogeneity is taking place in the current markets. So, the markets of past were characterized by similarity, markets of present day are characterized by differences, or you can use other terminology. Markets of past were characterized by homogeneity and markets of present are characterized by heterogeneity. Similarly, the other important thing was, in the past markets were characterized by stability. Most of the markets were having very slow rate of change, and same kind of products were going on for years and years or even decades and decades. But nowadays markets are characterized by rapid change. Now, stability is the order of past. Nowadays we want new products, and not only new products, but new products at a much faster rate. So, these two things, that the earlier markets were characterized by similarity and stability, and the current markets are characterized by heterogeneity and rapid changes, are the fundamental to the concept of order winners and qualifiers. Because once you determine when the market is stable, there is not much changes, so that concept was not having much significance. But since the current markets are heterogeneous, market at Maharashtra requires a different kind of attribute, and market at West Bengal requires a different kind of attributes. Markets of higher income people require a different kind of attributes, and market of middle income group requires a different kind of attribute. In the past, most of these markets were having similar kind of requirements. Same thing for the stability. If I am using a product, my parents were also using the similar kind of products, and my grandparents were also using the similar kind of products. But now within my lifetime I will use 4 different variants of that product. So, that is the meaning of rapid change. So, the present markets are characterized by these things, and therefore, as organizations when we see that how to provide competitiveness to my organization, I have to be proactive to understand that how these things which are attracting customers towards a particular product are changing, and therefore, we are discussing this concept of order winners and qualifiers. Now, just to see that in the overall frame of strategic management, in the overall framework of operation strategic development, so you see that in all the classes of strategic management, we discuss that the first step is the defining the problem. You first define the problem and then you identify the solution by identifying the alternatives, and you decide the solution, and then the third stage is implementation of the solution. To go into the more complex activity related to this process of defining the problem, implementation of the solution, and then we can also have a kind of feedback loop where you can see that whether the implementation is taking as per the need or not as per the need. But at the moment, if I am seeing that defining the problem is equal to market understanding. What is your market? So, developing the understanding of your market, that what are the requirements of the market, that is the first phase in this process of defining the problem, because our issue is related to market driven issue. So, defining the problem is equal to market understanding. The second stage is identifying the solution. Now, identifying the solutions means what different actions you can take, or you can say alternatives. So, identifying various actions or alternatives, that is the step number 2. What are the solutions for your problems? And then third is making it happen, that means you are implementing the selected alternative. So, these are in a way we have translated defining the problem, identifying the solution, implementing the solution in a more specific manner by market understanding, actions to be taken, and making those actions happen. Now, if you see the level of difficulty in these 3 phases, which phase is more difficult, which phase is relatively easier. So, you see that understanding the market is the most difficult one, and equally difficult is the implementation of the solution. These 2 things are most difficult. The easiest part is identifying the alternatives, identifying the solution, that is the easiest part. So, you know what is the correct problem, identifying the correct problem is the most difficult one, and then the implementation of that solution, that is another difficult part, but the identification of various alternatives, what actions to be taken, that is the probably easiest part out of these 3, and therefore, our energy should be more concentrated on 1 and 2, but unfortunately you will see that most of the organizations, most of the academia are working for the easiest possible work, and maximum work is happening in the phase of identification of solution. So, where we require more inputs, which are the difficult stages, that what is your problem and how to implement the solution, these are the more difficult areas, but the work or the orientation of executives, orientation of faculty members, researchers is least in those areas, and orientation of faculty member is maximum, orientation of executives are maximum in case of the easiest area, which is the identification of solution. And therefore, now you can understand that why many of the organizations are not able to achieve the world class status, because you are not focusing where you should focus. Many of the problems in India are related to either poor identification of the problem or poor implementation. We have very good rules, regulations, policies. So, we know how to identify the solution. That process is very strong and most of the energy is involved in that state also. But even though you have solutions, because either those solutions are not as per the actual need of the market, or if you have the solution you are not able to implement those solutions. So, therefore, this particular idea gives you a feeling that we need to reorient our energy, not to get the solution, but to understand the problem also, understand what my market requires, and then once you develop the solution, then how to implement those solutions. So, we need to reorient our energies, we need to reorient our focus towards more difficult task and not focus just on the easiest possible task. Now, therefore, market understanding is related to the concept of order winner and qualifier, and we are focusing in this particular session about this very concept of order winner and qualifier. Now, what are these qualifiers and winners? Let us try to understand that part also. Now, when you are purchasing a product in a market, so it is not a one go decision, you take decisions in some sequences. So, in that sequence, the first is the qualifiers. Qualifiers are those criteria available in a product because of which you start considering that product into your choice set. So, if let us say I am putting an advertisement for the position of some officer in my department. Now, for that purpose, if I say that only those who have scored 65% in their graduation are eligible to apply. So, that becomes a kind of qualifying criteria, that those who have scored 65% or more can apply for that position. It is not guaranteed that all those who have applied will be selected, only 1 or 2 will be selected, but if you have not 65% marks, you cannot apply for the position. So, qualifying criteria are the eligibility criteria, and because of these qualifying criteria you remain as good as your competitors. If your competitor is in the list of choice, then you can also be in that list of choice. So, these are product into a marketplace or into customer shortlist and keep it there, these are those criteria. So, these criteria give you an opportunity to compete. If you are not in that shortlist, then you cannot compete. So, unless until you are having these qualifying criteria in you, there is no point that you will be able to compete with other products. So, if qualifying criteria are met, then only you can compete with other products. So, having qualifying criteria, you get an opportunity to compete, that is another very important thing. Then the third is the failure to provide these criteria at appropriate levels may lead to loss of orders also. Like if you are not having those 65% marks in the graduation, if you have just 64% marks, so it means you cannot apply, and that becomes a order losing criteria also. So, sometime your qualifying criteria give opportunity to compete, but at the same time it is also possible that if you are not having some of these qualifying criteria in you, then you may lose the order. These are very sensitive criteria, because of which you get an opportunity to compete, and because of which if these are not there, you will lose the order also. So, that is one very important thing with respect to qualifying criteria. Then next comes the order winning criteria. Now, the order winning criteria, are those things where you need to show that you are better than your competitor. If 65% was the benchmark for applying for the post of officer, now you have 70%, your competitor has 72%. I think it is not going to make much of the difference, but if you have won some prize in the national level event and your competitor won prize at the state level event, so this will make a tremendous difference that in a sports activity, in the badminton championship, your competitor won state level prize and you won national level prize, and this may provide you the winning edge, this may provide you an edge over your competitor, because the marks remain the qualifying criteria. Then whether you are 70% and your competitor is at 72%, not going to make much of the difference. But other parameters, how are you doing in the sports, how are you doing in the cultural activities, whether you have NCC certificates, these may provide you that type of winning edge, and that is how you are better than your competitor. So, that is one important thing with respect to winning criteria, which provide you the competitive edge or the winning edge. Then it is important that we need to understand that how these winning criteria can provide me the competitive advantage. You need to be ready first to fulfill the qualifying requirements. If you are not fulfilling the qualifying requirements, you obviously cannot come into the competition stage. But once you come into the competition stage, then you need to see that how to develop those winning criteria, because as I have said that winning criteria are used for getting the competitive advantage. So, competitive advantage is possible only because of winning criteria. So, you can only win, it is our final objective is to win. So, qualifying is essential, no doubt, because without qualifying you cannot compete, but along with qualifying you need to develop the winning criteria, then only the ultimate purpose is fulfilled. It is not just to qualify, but actually to win the orders. Now, when we have understood the difference between qualifying and winning criteria, now the next thing is to understand some of the basic characteristics of order winners and qualifiers, which are applicable for both winners as well as for qualifiers. Now, the first important thing is that both winner and qualifying criteria are essential. You cannot live without one, you have to have both these criteria, qualifying which enable you to compete, and then winning which help you to get the competitive advantage. So, therefore, both these are essential in a product. Then another very important thing is that both these criteria, winner and qualifier, are highly dynamic. Both these criteria are market and time specific, and this is one very important input we are going to discuss, that both these winning and qualifying criteria are time market specific. As different times will come, you will have different types of winning criteria, different types of qualifying criteria. It is quite possible that one criteria is today winning criteria and tomorrow it remains a qualifying criteria. Today one criteria is a qualifying criteria and tomorrow it may become a winning criteria, or it may change from market to market. Today in Indian market one criteria is a qualifying criteria, but the same criteria in American market can be a winning criteria. So, that is the meaning of that both time and market specific, that these criteria are, whether you go from one market to another market or from one time zone to another time zone, you will see that these are changing and these are not static, these are dynamic phenomena. So, you need to continuously see that how these winning and qualifying criteria are changing, and if we can preempt, if we can forecast that how these criterias are going to be changed in near future, then actually you can take advantage of this concept for getting the competitive advantage. So, that is one very important thing, and many a times again and again we will be focusing on this aspect that winners and qualifiers are time specific, market specific. We will see one or two examples also in this slide that how these are market and time specific. Now, the another important thing, another basic characteristic of winners and qualifiers is related to that the relevance and importance of order winners and qualifiers will typically be different to retain market share, to grow share in an existing market, and to enter into new markets. Now, during a product life cycle, organizations do different things for different types of market. Whatever market you have, you try to retain that market. Then you want to grow your market share in your existing market, and then you also try to enter into new markets. So, these are the three important things you are going to do. One is to retain your existing market share, second is to grow share in the existing markets, and third is to enter new markets. These are the three things you are going to do, and in all these three things you will have different types of combinations of order winners and qualifiers. The relevance, the importance of order winner and qualifier will change for these three different things, and again it is a very important thing for the functional roles that how you identify, how you develop the solutions and how you implement those solutions for these different types of expectations. Then another important thing, basic characteristic of order winners and qualifiers is that the relative importance of qualifiers and order winners will change when moving from being market driven to being market driving. There are two particular phenomena, that either you are market driven or you are market driving. So, when you are market driven means market is moving ahead and you are following the market, whatever type of requirements are coming, you are following those requirements. So, like in the case of low cost products, that market always requires low cost products and good quality product at the lowest possible cost. So, if you are providing those things, it means you are market driven. On the other hand, if you are into a product categories like which are highly innovative products, so you are driving the market, organizations are bringing new types of products and then market is trying to adopt those new types of products. So, like your all mobile phones and electronic gadgets are the part of this market driven approach. So, when you have a market driving approach or a market driven approach, the relevance and importance of qualifiers and winners will change accordingly. And then another important thing is that all criteria by which a customer purchases a product will be either a qualifier or winner, it is not necessary. There may be few things which may not be part of order winners and qualifiers, maybe the peer group influence. So, that is something because of which many a times we purchase products. So, it is difficult to classify the peer group influence either qualifier or winners. So, all those criteria, most of them we will try to put under winners and qualifiers, but all criteria cannot be put under the categories of winners and qualifiers. Now, as I was saying that these order winners and qualifiers are market and time specific. Now, let us have one example here, and in this particular example we have two different customers. Two different customers, you can say that two different markets. This is market A and this is market B. These are the two markets, and CY represents the current year. CY plus 1 represents the 1 year ahead of the current year, and CY2 represents the 2 years ahead of the current year. Now, there are few criteria which are listed here on the left hand side of this table. Now, if you see the criteria like design, price, delivery reliability, delivery speed, quality conformance and R&D support services are listed here. Now, let us first discuss the current year for customer A. Now, in the current year for the customer A, price against it I have mentioned Q. Q means it is a qualifying criteria, that there has to be a particular level of price. If that product is matching that level of price, it comes into my short list. Then there are two criteria, delivery reliability and quality conformance. These two criteria where I have mentioned double Q. Double Q means these are the sensitive criteria, order losing criteria. If my company is not able to maintain a particular level of quality conformance, or if it is not able to maintain the delivery reliability, the promised dates of delivery, then my customer is going to keep me away from the short list. So, these are very sensitive criteria. These are order qualifying criteria, but these order qualifying criteria are very sensitive and may result into the losing of order also. So, these three are actually the qualifying criteria: price, delivery reliability and quality conformance. Then you see the design, then delivery speed and R&D support. There are certain values mentioned against them. Design specifies up to 40% of customers winning criteria. Delivery speed contributes up to 30% in the winning decision, and R&D support services also contribute up to the 30% of the winning criteria. So, you see the sum of all these are 100%, 40 plus 30, 70 plus 30, 100. So, these are the criteria on the basis of which this customer A is purchasing product in the current year. But as you see, you are moving from current year to 2 years ahead. The role of design remains same, price also remains same, delivery reliability also remains same, but what happens to delivery speed? Earlier the delivery speed was one of the order winning criteria. It was contributing 30% into my winning list, but now it has reduced to one order qualifying criteria. So, now I have one additional order qualifying criteria, that delivery speed. Quality conformance was earlier also one order sensitive criteria, now it is again a order sensitive criteria. But R&D support, earlier it was only 30% important for my order winning. Now, the importance of R&D or innovation has increased to 60%. So, I am requiring more those products which are innovative, where R&D support services are excellent. So, you see that from current year to 2 years in ahead, I have changed that some of the criteria have moved from order winning to qualifying. The importance of R&D has increased from 30 to 60%, it will again remain 100%, 40 is for the design and 60 for the R&D. So, it is still 100%. What you see, the weightage have changed, the winners criteria have become the qualifying criteria. Now, during the same period, if you see for a second customer market B, now the design is only 30% important. Here it was 40%, now it is 30%. the price for customer A was just a qualifying criteria, but it is 40% important for market B. Delivery reliability was a order sensitive criteria for first customer, it is order sensitive for the second customer also. Speed was 30% important for first customer, it is 30% important for the second customer also. Quality conformance was an order sensitive criteria, it is order sensitive for the second customer also. But for the second customer, R&D was not involved, there is no need of R&D services. So, all these criteria, like you see that 30 plus 40 plus 30, 100%. So, only 3 criteria are the order winning criteria and 2 criteria come under the category of order qualifying criteria. And you see both these criteria are very sensitive qualifying criteria, because in both these cases double Q is written. That means if any of these criteria is not available, you will immediately lose the orders. So, both these criteria are very sensitive criteria. So, this figure, this table gives you an idea that how for the same product for 2 different markets or for 2 different customers criteria are changing. So, this gives you an idea that how these order winners qualifiers are dynamic with respect to market. And then we also saw that how from current year to 2 years in advance these criteria are changing. So, that will give you an idea that these are time dynamic also. So, with this you can also have another example where you have less number of criteria and these criteria are also changing with respect to time and with respect to product categories. So, these are for the same market, but 2 different products we have considered, product A and product B, and you see that for both these products in the same market criteria are changing, their relative weightage are changing. So, the point which we are trying to emphasize that order winner and qualifiers are time and market specific. So, with this we come to end of this session. Thank you very much.